Alright, what's going on YouTube? We're back with some more Baldur's Gate 3 mod videos. This time we're taking a look at a class that honestly has become one of my more favorite spell casting class. It's very unique and has a lot of cool things that you can do with it. This is called the Spellsmith. And the Spellsmith is a master of the basic elements fire, earth, water, and lightning. However, they can use those abilities to craft other types of magic, and it gets pretty crazy. And this one's going to be a little bit of a long one to try to explain because there's just so many things that you can do with this class. I can't showcase everything, otherwise this video will probably be about an hour long trying to go into the nitty-gritty of every single thing you can do. But I'm going to try to cover the basics of it and show off some of the effects that you can do it. TLDR, this class allows you to make passive abilities. Essentially, you can make lightning storms, you can make clouds of fire, things like that. It's just allows you to combine a lot of the basic level spells and other spells that you craft and forge into bigger, more passive abilities. So, and I'll showcase that more when it comes to the combat scenario because I'm actually going to have to do commentary over it because it's going to be hard to explain what's going on without actually discussing what's going on. So in any case, we're going to go through the level up process, and then we're going to go into the combat scenario. I can't really showcase the abilities because they require to be in active combat. Anyway, starting off at level 1, you'll get to choose your first elemental mastery. You can choose between fire, water, lightning, and earth. Fire comes with the abilities such as Fire Breath, Unleash, Fire Beam, and Set Ablaze. Now again, I won't be able to go over all of these in a single video, but I will try and go over the basics of what each one of these will do, and I'll probably choose a select few to showcase in combat. Water gives you Drown, Water Cannon, Wash Away, and Bubble Sanctuary. Now, you might be wondering what the passive abilities are. Now, obviously, Sanctuary, but you get something called Water Domain. And again, these are things that are going to be part of the passive abilities that you get. So, for example, the Water Domain, chance to cast Silence by nearby enemies at the start of their turns. And if you go back to Fire, if we look at the passive ability for that, you have the Fire Domain, prevent healing of nearby characters. So again, each one of these basic level masteries has a passive ability that is cast whenever you cast one of these spells. So for lightning, we have Black Flash, Chain Lightning, Overclock, and Call Lightning. Overclock is essentially your haste, but instead of having lethargic afterwards, you basically lose 50% of your maximum health. So, and for the lightning domain, any characters outside the Eye of the Storm between 12 to 30 meters and in combat are struck by lightning at the start of their turns. So this can actually attack your allies as well. So lightning being one of the more strongest out of the 4 basic elements, it's also the most dangerous because it can strike your allies. And then we have the final elemental, Earth. Rock Cascade, Rocks Collide, Launch Rock, and then Drop Pillar. And then we have the Earth Domain. Chance to stun nearby enemies chance to stun nearby enemies on replacing domain. So I believe what this means, if you replace the domain with another domain, so if you switch between Earth and Lightning, there's a chance that they will stun as you switch between those domains. So again, very, very strong abilities in terms of like the overall domains. The abilities do scale as these are basically your cantrips. You also do start off with the cantrip of Magic Blast, which is basically radiant damage. It's just a basic Magic Blast. And then for the abilities, you're going to really focus into Intelligence. You can go into Dexterity just to give yourself a little bit of armor and also affect your initiative. But yeah, Dexterity and Intelligence will probably be the main two that I will focus on. Charisma and Wisdom, unless you want more chance for saving throws, not really as much. And then obviously as a mage, you really don't need that much Strength. Honestly, you could probably sacrifice Strength and bump one of these up to 17 if you really wanted to. Or if you want to even out your Charisma, you could do something like that. Or I'm sorry, not Charisma, but Constitution, give yourself a little bit more health. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and go to the level up process. This is the level 20 class. This is to get updated regularly. So I'll try and check back once it's at a more finished state to kind of go over pretty much a little bit more of what's been changed. So level 2, we get a class feature. You can gain 1 AC for each basic element used in combat. So I believe this caps out at a certain amount. Basically, whenever you use one of your basic abilities, you'll gain 1 AC, which means you gain an armor class a little bit higher. So while you only are restricted to light armor, your AC is still going to go up pretty high. At level 3, you get to choose another elemental mastery. So for this, we have Earth already, so we're going to choose Lightning. And I've already showcased which one of these abilities like more of the flavor text, but if you wanted to pause and go back and read them individually, you can. Alright, so level 4 we actually get cantrips, but you notice it's a whole bunch of different cantrips. These aren't any of the vanilla spells. These are basically spells that are crafted exclusively for the spellsmith. And there's quite a few, and I won't be able to go over every single one of them. So I'm going to go over just some of the ones that I like using and some of my personal favorites. But just kind of go over a little bit of them. One of them is Accelerate, which is in combination of the Black Flames, which we'll try and let me find Black Flames so it'd be like make a little bit more sense here. Essentially, Black Flames is a Amaterasu, if you want to get technical with it. It basically allows you to apply 3 stacks of Black Flames. And basically, the Black Flame is unrelenting flame spread on affected death. So basically, whenever you kill someone that is affected by the Black Flame, that will pass on to someone else that's nearby another ally. You also see we have an additional resource called Contain Elements. Contain Elements are basically your spell slots for these cantrips. So instead of having cantrips be infinite, you have to use these contained spell slots. And I'll kind of explain that a little bit more in combat. So, for example, if I wanted to do Black Flame and then Accelerate Black Flame allows me to double the effects of nearby Black Flames on enemies for 4 turns, which means they'll do double damage to the Black Flames. We have other abilities such as Asteroid Belt, Banish. Again, a lot of cool spells. It's going to be really, really hard to like pinpoint exactly and kind of showcase every one of these because I can only have so many. Paint Black guarantees a targeted miss charge on kill, so it's a little weird. I'll try and explain that a little bit later because the Paint Black and Paint White are a little weird. Guarantees a critical crit charge on kill. I think what this means is that whenever you kill someone that they're painted white, it increases your chance of having a critical hit on your next attack. I think for Paint Black, it's more of a guaranteed miss on your enemy's next turn when you kill an enemy. I believe that's how that's read, but there's quite a few here. Entangled, Consume Black Flame, consumes Black Flame on target, spreading within enemies within 15 meters. Crippling Fear, Falling Glass. Again, there's a lot of abilities here, and unless you guys want like maybe a separate video, I'll try and showcase all of them. Let's just get a more focus on the class itself and not actually the individual cantrips and spells, because there's just so many to go over here. So just kind of go over a few. You have Snow Meteor, Ready Counter Spell, which is pretty strong, which allows you to basically do a free counter spell on any magical attack, essentially. For feats, you guys can know how to pick feats for mages. Intelligence is probably going to be priority, and then a little bit later on, things like Spell Sniper is pretty decent. Warcaster is pretty good as well. I do have a mod for Warcaster, the 2014 and 2024 edition, but excuse me, I'm rambling. Let me go ahead and move on. At level 5, you get a new class feature. This is called Seasoned Mage. You gain advantage on spell attack rolls, meaning that your attack rolls are going to basically be a little bit more guaranteed to hit than this. At level 6, we get the ability to unlock another Elemental Mastery. We'll get to unlock all 4, so really don't. It just depends on your situation and what you like best. Water's pretty strong just because you have the Bubble Sanctuary and you have the Drown ability, so that's pretty strong, as well as like the passive Domain ability. So it doesn't really matter which one you pick, just kind of pick whichever one's your favorite. You'll be able to get all 4 by the time you reach level 12. At level 7, we get to choose 2 more cantrips, and we actually unlock a couple other cantrips as a chain reaction. Multiple explosions set off at 3 target enemies, dealing AoE damage. That means you can place this attack on 3 enemies, and it will do AoE explosion damage. You also have Charge Orbs. Conjure 5 orbs that can be released in 5 turns. They apply both black and white paint on hit, which we explained the black and white aspects, which was Paint Black and Paint White, which will allow you to basically on kill get increased critical chances or increased miss opportunities for your enemies. We have things such as Melting Point, Let of Aura, reducing nearby enemy armor class, which is pretty strong. Outburst, which allows you to just push enemies away. Quicksand, surrounding enemies are trapped in quicksand, unable to move, basically just leaving them rendered unable to move, essentially. Glass Needles, conjure glass around a target, digging deep into their flesh. Again, a lot of cool, like, flavored spells that are really good. Some are take a turn to go through, such as Charge Meteors, which rains down 4 meteors on a target after a turn. Second Wind. Again, just a lot of abilities that you can pick and choose from. So, like I said, it's going to be really hard for me to, like, showcase every single one. For this, we're going to do Ready Counter Spell, because that'd be a little bit easier to showcase in a combat scenario. But we skip level 8 because you only get a single feat, but at level 9, you get 2 more cantrips. And again, each time you increase, you'll get to unlock some of these other cantrips here that you didn't see before. Blood Cleave just cleaves enemies right in front of you. We talked about Chain Reaction earlier. We have Rewind, Revive of a Companion. They return to life with 20 hit points, which is really strong. Implosion, collapse an area around a target enemy, does radiant damage, which is pretty rare. And there's just a bunch of other abilities. Like I said, it's just kind of hard to pick and choose which ones to kind of showcase. Glacial Cascade is pretty cool too. Cascade of Ice having a chance to freeze enemies, which is pretty strong. And again, these all use a different resource called Contain Elements. These are essentially your spell slots for cantrips. I believe they recharge after a short rest, but we'll go into that once we go through the list of abilities. At level 10, we get your final unlock mastery, which is going to be fire. At level 11, we got a new class feature. Flow State, reduce critical threshold each time you combine spells, which is actually pretty strong. So when you combine spells, that your crit threshold is reduced, meaning that you can crit easier. And at level 12, you just get the last feat here. If you only playing up to level 12, you can stop the video here and go into the next portion. But if you're going to be playing up to level 20, then you can continue to watch along if you like. Again, Warcaster 2024 is a modded version, so if you're not using any mods in addition to just a modded class, then Warcaster 2014 is pretty good, as that gives you concentration on saving throws. So if you are going up to level 13 or playing up to level 20, at level 13 you get 2 more cantrips. This does unlock a little bit more abilities as well, such as Wormhole. Slip through a wormhole to appear at a nearby location, basically a teleport. Snow Meteor, which hurls 2 snowballs. If you want to do some healing, Rejuvenating Light. Heals nearby allies, which is pretty good if you don't have a dedicated healer. Again, we talked about Outburst. You can give flight to allies if you like for 5 turns. Flower Power, which is actually a pretty funny name. Give yourself or a nearby ally resistance to all damage types, which is actually pretty strong support. It doesn't give you invulnerability, just gives you resistance, which means they won't do as much damage. Crush is pretty good if you're looking more for force damage. Again, so on and so forth. There's a lot of cool spells that you can pick and choose from and just play around with and mess around with. At level 15, we get another class feature, Aspects of the Elements. Ignore all resistance and immunities. So basically that means any resistance or immunities that enemies have, you just say, fuck that noise, I'm doing full damage, which is, again, really strong. That's why it's at level 15. I don't think most players regularly would reach that point if they're going to the campaign without increased XP, but it's there. That's why I'm kind of showcasing this. So level 17, you get 2 more cantrips. That's going to be all the cantrips that we have at this point, so you won't be able to select everything, but you have quite a few abilities to kind of pick and choose from, depending on how you want to play. Entangle's pretty good if you want to basically have a hold person. That's not a concentration spell. Collapsing Darkness is pretty good if you're fighting enemies that are always hidden or doing stealth abilities. Bursting Light's really good. For pure radiant damage, Bond of Light, if you want to do additional radiant damage, so it's good if you have a light domain cleric with you or a paladin, things like that. So again, just kind of pick and choose how you're playing. You just gotta pick and choose how you want to build your mage and what spells you want to use. Level 19, you get 2 more abilities. I mean, at this point, I've kind of flavor text over quite a few of them. Just kind of pick and choose what you like. Flesh Blood is pretty good because it gives you increased maximum hit points by 30% for 6 turns. So if you just want that extra HP buff, again, which is pretty strong. Yeah, all these cantrips are pretty strong, but they are limited because you have the contained elements. And then level 20, we do have our last class feature. The icon doesn't show up, unfortunately, but it's called Domain Mastery. Pre-combined spells now apply their respective domains. So that's pretty cool. I'll try to explain the spell combination aspect of it after this because it can be a little complicated, so I'll try my best to explain it. And then finally, we have our last feat. Again, I'd probably go with Dexterity at this point, or if you want to wear light armor or anything like that, that's pretty good. You can have both aspects of Warcaster 2024 if you like. But yeah, we're done with the level up process, so I'll try to explain some of the other aspects of this class. Alright, so we're going to switch over to the actual page here. This is the Spellsmith class that's available both on Nexus and on the mod page, or mod.io, or the in-game mod manager. So this is what I was talking about, how it can be a little bit complicated, so I want to try my best to explain as best as I can. So the Spellsmith class features a new gameplay pattern for spellcasters. The caster must use different base elements, fire, water, earth, and lightning, to gain associated runes. Combining 3 runes together unlocks a new branch of magic. 16 to 20 is available, as 3 fire, water, earth, and lightning are currently not possible. So, and that's kind of what I explained earlier during the level up process, how like the pre-combined classes will have the respective domains. Each branch of magic can also apply a unique domain on the battlefield. The base domains are exclusive to each other, and the special branch are exclusive to each other. Only one of each category can be active at a time. So I mean, you can only have 1 water, 1 fire, 1 earth, or 1 lightning domain at a time. You can't have the lightning domain and the water domain running at the same time. The class for versatility is intended to be balanced out for needing to plan ahead. So, domain effects. We kind of covered the basics of water, lightning, earth. Water, fire, earth, and lightning. We covered those already. Then there's other domain effects as well. Time. Nearby enemies cannot move. Heal allies at the start of each turn. For darkness, shroud area around you, setting everyone inside to be heavily obscured. Paint. Missed attacks gain. Nearby allies can be followed up with a guaranteed counter. Blood. Enemies inside the domains restore health points towards the Slayer. Ice. Chance to freeze nearby enemies on the start of each turn. So on and so forth. So there's a list of like all the affected domains here if you want to read through them. Again, this will be in the link in the description down below if you want to sit and read through each one. And then you have the combination of domains. So just for the flavor text, this is going to be water, fire, lightning, and earth. So the stacking 3 of the same ones at a time are not currently implemented. However, as you can see here, if you combine a water, fire, and earth, you get time. Water, earth, and lightning, you get light. Water, fire, and light, you get darkness, so on and so forth. So if you want to have this as like a kind of like a codex to kind of look into as you're playing, these are how you can get these combination effects. And as I mentioned before, I can't actually show these in game because they don't particularly work in game. Or I'm sorry, not in game. I'm sorry, like while outside of battle. So I can't just cast like 3 of the spells here and get those runes here. I'll showcase what I mean. So let's say I do a Rocks Collide, right? It's not gonna get those runes or anything like that. So I can't just get those runes if I wanted to. So. And I'm just showcasing these just to showcase that I can't get the runes currently. Just because, as why I kind of explained earlier, I have to actually be in battle to do it. And this also means that the domains aren't active as well. So I'll try and showcase that a little bit later during the combat scenario. Is also why you see you have the actions a little bit higher. You have 3 actions and then 2 bonus actions, because the main point of this class is to combine these elements. So you're meant to use a water spell, a fire spell, and a lightning spell to get set up for a combination of a different domain. I will say if that's the point of it, I would say probably tuning down the damage on some of these might be possible, because you probably can one-shot some enemies with these. This is going to be a really strong class in the late game. But we're going to the combat scenario, and I'll showcase exactly what it means for to use these domains and stuff like that. So, again, I mentioned it's going to be a longer video, and it's for that reason that it's so long, because there's just so much to try and cover that I thought it wouldn't do it justice to have like a very quiet combat scenario. Alright, so I'm going to try and showcase at least one of the combinations here, and then I'll do like a more combat scenario with a higher level enemy, because using Trials of Tav, you don't get to really choose your enemies at lower levels. But anyway, we're going to try and use one of the combinations here. I'm going to try and use either time or light. Chances are the enemy's going to die, but we'll try and showcase it. So for light, we're going to do a water, earth, and lightning. So for water, we're going to... we'll use Drown. That doesn't do damage off first hit. Now, 2 things here. As you can see on our toolbar here, we have the water domain, which has a chance to silence nearby enemies, and then we have a water rune. Now, the water runes are what's necessary to do the combination of spells that we mentioned earlier. So, we have our first rune here, which is water. So, next up, if we want to do either time or light, we need to either do electric, or we need to do, we need to do earth or electric. So, I'm going to do earth next. Now, like I said, it's probably going to kill, because it is a pretty high level, and this guy doesn't have much health, but... Alright, so we did kill. So now we have the earth domain activated, and we have earth rune, but we still have our water rune. Now, if I wanted to get one more rune going, which is going to be the lightning rune, which is going to be for light, we're going to use overclock. as you can see, we have the lightning rune. We have the lightning domain active, which any characters outside the eye of the storm between 12 and 30 meters actually get hit by lightning at the start of their turns. But now we actually have mixed light. Removed on using a light spell. Using a light spell applies light domain. So we do have a light spell, I believe. I believe healing counts as a light spell. And there we go, light domain. So now, light domain. Nearby allies are healed at the start of their turn. Very, very strong. Like I said, it's a weird mixture of things that you have to get used to use for spell casting, but it gives you so many strong abilities and strong things to use, especially with the domains here. So the domains are different because you have your base level domains, which are your earth, fire, lightning, and water domains, which are the ones we showcased earlier. And then you have your combination domains, which is going to be your light domain, your time domain, your I think space is also one, explosion, astral, so on and so forth. Like I said, there's so many that I can't really showcase in a single video because it would take so long to put that out there. However, that being said, if you guys really want an extended video on the Spellsmith class to kind of go over each one of the combinations to showcase it, I am willing to do that. But you guys got to let me know in the comments down below, like the video and all that fun stuff. If you want me to go over a little bit more of a super detailed version of this class, because I think this is probably one of the more in-depth classes that I could go into. It's very similar to the class I think I first showcased when I started doing Baldur's Gate 3 mods in itself, where it's so many different combinations and things. So that being said, I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to actually do a combat scenario at a little bit higher level to kind of showcase what you can do in battle with this class. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the explanation. Again, this is going to be a little bit longer than usual because there is such a lot of detail in this class mod. I think it's probably one of my favorites out of all the ones I've showcased so far.
About it.
Onward. way forward.
Open up.
What should I do?
Blood comes easy these days. Swift as my feet can carry me.